extremely beautifully. If a person is oppressing yatim, an orphan, that is the one who denies the religion, who denies the day of judgment, and who refutes all the moral qualities of Islam. We will come into details inshallah very soon. وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Number one, he oppresses, he repulses yatim, orphan. Number two, وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. He does not urge people to feed the poor. It's not like he doesn't give food for the poor. That is something really, really good. And something very easier. He's not giving food, but he's not giving food. It says he does not urge people to give food. Somebody is giving food. Why should you waste your money? Why should you feed these poor people and beggars and hungry people? You don't have to do that. Just not urging people to do good deeds. He's not doing himself, and he's not letting other people do. Subhanallah. وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. And that is a person who does not urge feeding of poor. If you can understand how much important is feeding food for the poor people, how much Islam encourages people to do that. And a person who refutes religion, he will not be, not only he's not feeding, but he is not urging people to do that. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. So woe to the prayers, woe to those who perform prayers, woe to those who are entitled to pray every day 5 times, but الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ, but they are forgetful of their prayers. So woe to those who are entitled to pray. Musallin is a person who prays, but here it does not mean, a Musallin is the group of people who are ordered to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Woe to those. Why woe to those? Why they've been given a curse. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. They are forgetful of their prayers. We are entitled to pray, but we are forgetful of our prayers. Subhanallah. There Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, that is an indication that this verse of Quran is telling about hypocrites. Hypocrites, they used to pray in public, but in privacy they don't pray. Subhanallah. They will pray in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They will pray if there is some charity going on, so they want to be regarded as Muslims, so they will join the entire community, but once they've gone into their own matters, they will leave prayer. So, woe to those, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. The word wail is a curse. We say woe to those, curse is upon those who are entitled to pray. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. And they are forgetful of their prayer. They don't care about the timing of the prayer. They don't pray as it should be. And they are forgetful. They are not conscious about their prayer. Subhanallah. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. And they show off. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. Let it be the prayer or charity or any other good deeds. They just show off. They just do that so that they should be seen by people, not sincerely for Allah. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. And they prevent the very little benefits. They don't let a pen, for example. Al-ma'un is a very simple benefit. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu used to say that al-ma'un, which refers to water, if somebody needs a drink and you have water, give it. Ma'un means lending something. For example, in ancient times they used to lend axe, they used to lend pots, they used to lend some vessels, in the cooker. They used to lend something, they get it back safe. The person who lended it, who took it, he will just get some benefits and he returns it to its owner. They're not losing the thing, but still a munafiq, he will not be doing any sort of benefit to the humans, to the mankind. They are so selfish. So selfishness is a trait of hypocrite. Subhanallah. We Look in the whole meaning of the surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Ma'un, in this surah, Allah wants to inculcate certain behaviors, certain moral values within the believers, that we must think that these are nothing, these are quite simple things. Why should Allah reveal Quran upon this? But they are not. تَحْسَبُونَهُ هَيِّنًا وَهُوَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَظِيمٌ. We may think that's quite simple, but it's serious with Allah. Let's come to the details. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. A person who denies the religion, who refutes the day of judgment. Subhanallah, this life on this world is worth only there is a hereafter. Without hereafter, it is worthless. If you think about people living on this earth, doing wonderful things, a group of people, and the other side, they're doing really awful things, and they die and nothing happens to them. How absurd it is. Nothing happens, there's no judgment, there's no reward, there is no punishment. Subhanallah. So, Quran, in about 1,000 verses of Quran, Allah is explaining about the life hereafter, which is the real life. And by death, a person is entering the real world. Subhanallah. So, the day of judgment, that Allah will be questioning him for his possessions, for his actions and deeds and words, and for all of his relations. Everything in this life are going to be questioned, and a person is accountable for his actions. That is the meaning of believing in the hereafter. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir. To highlight a believer, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was referring to only two things. Believing in two things, at most important, subhanallah. Belief has 6 pillars, we know that. Belief has 6 pillars. To believe in Allah, to believe in angels, to believe in the messengers of Allah, to believe in the books of Allah, to believe in the day of judgment, and to believe in the fate, the divine destiny. Rather than referring all of them, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam simply used to summarize. Believe is to believe in Allah and the day of judgment. He used to say in several hadith, we can see that, Man kana yu'minu billah wal yawmil akhir falyukrim dayfa. Whoever believes in Allah and the day of judgment, let him respect his guests, for example. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir fala yu'dhi jara. Whoever believes in Allah and the day of judgment should not harm his neighbors. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut. Whoever believes in Allah and the day of judgment should speak only truth or keep silence. So, Iman or Islam, subhanallah, it is closely linked with two important parts of our faith. Believing in Allah, the Creator, the Sustainer, and the owner of Day of Judgment, and believing in the hereafter. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. There are people who formally or openly, they do not say that I refute the Day of Judgment, I don't believe there is life hereafter, but through their actions they are not following the religion. Subhanallah. A person who claims to be a believer, claims to be a Muslim and not practicing Islam, can he be termed like a Muslim or believer? Of course not. He's refuting the Day of Judgment. He's refuting the religion. So, this verse of Quran, it may not be referring only to the hypocrite or the non-believers. Instead, that could be a reference to a group of believers who claim to be believers and Muslims, but they are not following Islam in their lives and actions. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to say that, ad-deenu an-nasiha. Islam is well-wishing. Ad-deen an-nasiha. The religion of Islam is nasiha. What does nasiha means? Nasiha means to wish good for everyone. قُلْنَا لِمَنْ. The companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they asked Rasulullah for whom they should wish, good. Islam is a well-wishing, so for whom we do that? Upon whom we do that? قَالَ لِلَّهِ. For Allah. Well-wishing for Allah, wishing good for Allah, what does it mean? وَلِرَسُولِهِ, for his messenger. وَلِيَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and for all the leaders of the Muslims, leaders of the believers. وَعَامَّتِهِمْ, and for the common people. Subhanallah, from the common people to the leaders, to Rasulullah, and to Allah, to well-wishing, wishing only goods for all of the entire, subhanallah, from the creator, to the messenger, to the leaders and the common people, subhanallah, our fellow men. Islam is well-wishing. So if a person is not wishing well for his neighbor, for his brothers and sisters, for the entire humanity, we can't say that he is practicing Islam. Islam is in practice. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ, don't you see a person who refutes religion? Some of the tafsir says that was revealed about Abu Jahl. He used to deny the day of judgment in public, like Abu Lahab. The scholars of Islam here, they say that it could be termed to anyone who does not follow Islam in his life. Islam forbids certain things. If a person is using them, for example, interest of banks, for example, eating haram, liquor, intoxicants, adultery, harming and disturbing people, causing harm to the public, subhanallah, all sort of things. Islam is a summary of mercy, summary of kindness, subhanallah, and generosity. If a person, he is not fulfilling all these meanings, he is not a believer. Look at the hadith. Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu anha narrates, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in his presence, a lady was explained of her worship, that there is a lady who would stand during night, till dawn, and she would pray lots of sunnah prayers, and she will be fasting most of her days, and she does lots of tasbih, subhanallah and alhamdulillah. So she wakes up during night and she prays, and she takes fast during the daytime. Subhanallah, what is more worthy than prayer and fasting? Of course, there's not anything. Then it was said, but she really hurts her neighbors. She hurts her neighbors. She causes harm to her neighbors. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, instantly he said, hiya finnar, she is in hellfire. Look at the hadith. The hadith is narrated in all of the sahihs. She is in hellfire. And this command, this judgment is given by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So a person's worships, a person's actions is not authorized, it's not sanctioned if he is not combining with the Islamic moral values. Subhanallah. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. So a person who is not following religion is as if he is refuting it, though he does not do that publicly. رَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي, that is a person يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ, who oppresses yatim. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he himself was an orphan. He lost his father. He couldn't see his father. His father, Abdullah radiyallahu anhu, he died. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was yet to be born. His mother died while Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was about 6 years old. Subhanallah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was an orphan in his early childhood. But reaching the age of adulthood, 15 years old, a boy or girl cannot be called an orphan in Islam. Though literally people call it an orphan, but in Islamic terminology, an orphan is a person who has his father died under the age of 15. So in the ancient Arabia, in their culture, they used to repulse, they used to oppress orphans, because there's no one to question him. Subhanallah. Nobody would ask him why you should hurt him, why you disturbing him, why you cause him harm. Nobody will, because he doesn't have a father. So it's like anything people can play with. Subhanallah. And Islam came and gave very great dignity for yatim. Look at the hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that, أَنَا وَكَافِلُ الْيَتِيمِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ هَكَذَا. Subhanallah, pointing Rasulullah's index finger and the middle finger, joined them together, and he said, a person who looks after an orphan, a person who feeds an orphan, a person who cares about orphan, he would be with me in paradise very close, like these two fingers. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was pointing to the level of reward he would be getting in the hereafter just for looking after a yatim. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَخَيْرُ بُيُوتِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, the best house of a Muslim, the best house of Muslims is a house بيت فيه يتيم يحسن إليه, وشر بيوت المسلمين بيت فيه يتيم يساء إليه. The best house of a Muslim is not in his magnificent look and its facilities. It's not. It says it's a house where there lives an orphan. There is an orphan living in that house, and that orphan is being regarded highly, and is being protected, and is being treated really beautifully. Such a house is the best of the houses of Islam. Subhanallah. And he said in the opposite contrary, وَشَرُّ بُيُوتِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and the worst house of Muslims is a house where yatim, and he's been treated very badly. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he took himself the care of yatim. It came in the hadith, like Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on the day of Eid, like everyone rejoices and happy on the day of Eid, he could find a girl crying. She didn't have good clothes and food, and she didn't have some toys like other kids do. Subhanallah, she was crying, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam took her to his house and told Aisha radiyallahu anha, Ya Aisha, at'imi, give food for this girl, she's an orphan. Subhanallah, give food for her, and we need to buy some clothes for her to clothe her on this day of Eid. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam got some clothes for her, and consoling her, subhanallah, touching on her head, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, don't you like that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is your father, and Aisha radiyallahu anha is your mother? So don't be sad. Don't be sad. Don't think like you don't have a father or mother. Your mother is Aisha radiyallahu anha, my wife, and the mother of all believers, subhanallah, and your father is me. So does it make you happy to know that I'm your father and my wife Aisha radiyallahu anha is your mother? So such was the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Taking care of orphans, taking care of people who are neglected. وَإِنْ كَانَتْ أَمَةٌ مِّنْ إِمَاءِ الْمَدِينَةِ, it came about the characters of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that a slave girl was bold enough to hold the hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and take him to the market, subhanallah, and she would buy whatever she buys, and she would work with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with dignity, subhanallah. What's the meaning of the hadith? A slave girl. Normally there was slavery in those days. They were treating slaves like animals, or even worse than animals. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in his eyes, a slave girl has found confidence and trust in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that any time she could approach Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that any children born to slaves are regarded as slaves as well. So these slave children, they used to come to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, thinking as if he's their father. They would catch Rasulullah's hand, they would hold his hand and walk with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the streets, so that people would say, oh, this is our father. So such was the confidence that this kind of weak group of society, like slaves and orphans, found in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a protector of them. And here Quran says, an opposite of his فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ, who drives away the orphan, who does not care about orphans. Subhanallah, a person who repulses an orphan is as if he is not following religion. It's as if he denies the day of judgment. Denying the day of judgment means denying one of the pillars of faith. Denying pillars of faith, it means he's going outside the boundary of Islam. He's no more a Muslim. So, فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ, that يَدُعُ could be any harsh words uttered towards them. Could be any bad treatment. Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah and in many other surahs, subhanallah, Quran clearly mentions those who eat the wealth of orphans, they would be given really, really harsh punishments on the day of judgment. Quran did not give such reference to in any other case related to wealth, but it's given for an orphan. An orphan, if he left any money, that would be protected by his guardian. Could be his uncle or anyone who takes care of him, and he would invest that money somewhere so that it grows, and he would protect it. He shouldn't waste it, and when the orphan reaches the age of adulthood, that money should be transferred into him. Subhanallah, for a person who is taking a little bit of a wealth of an orphan, subhanallah, إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُيُوتِهِمْ نَارًا, it's as if they are eating fire. So, yatim, and we will be taking the term yatim here, that is a reference to any weak category of a society. Because yatim is the person who could be regarded to be very, very weak. رَأَيْتَ الَّذِي فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ. Now we can think of people who are oppressing the weak, who are exploiting the poor people. Subhanallah. Not giving their rights, not giving their dues. So any person who does such kind of actions, they will be regarded under the category فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ. Subhanallah, when the strong oppresses and exploits the poor, that will be termed like business, right? And when the poor people reacts against injustice, that will be termed like violence, isn't it? That is in the real world what we can see. People being exploited. So poor people being exploited. Merchants could exploit their customers. That would be as if they are exploiting and suppressing yatim. Weaker people, they can't find that they've been deceived. They don't know that they've been cheated. So cheating, deceiving, causing harm to their wealth and prestige and to their image could be regarded as if oppression, as if it's a repulse. Subhanallah. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Look at the beauty of the Quranic verse. Subhanallah. وَلَا يَحُلُّ, and he does not urge. Ala, upon. Ta'am is food, al-miskin, the poor. He does not urge upon the food of poor. What does it mean? He does not urge feeding of the poor. Here, Quran use the word ta'am al-miskin, the food of the poor. It's not like feeding poor, though we translate it like feeding poor, but Quranic words like, they don't urge people upon the food of, the food that belongs to the poor. We know that Islam's, one of the 5 pillars of Islam is charity, zakat. While zakat, وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. Quran, referring to the believers, it says, in their wealth, every beggar and everyone who asks for and every poor people have rights in their wealth. Quran says the believers are those in their wealth. There is a right for the poor and destitute to have a portion of their wealth. It's not like we're giving something of our own, as if it's not like we're giving them some charity, some bonus. It's not. It's their right to give zakat We are passing the right of poor into their hands. If we keep zakat, if we don't spend it into the categories where Quran mentions, it's as if we are withholding their rights. So here, to give food for the poor, ta'am al-miskin, there it means, subhanallah, that any surplus food or excess money that we have to understand that there is a right for a miskin in that wealth, subhanallah. Ta'am al-miskin, it's their food. Why you waste it? Why you withhold it? Why you don't spend upon poor people? Now we relate the hadith. He's not a Muslim who eats his full while his neighbor is hungry. We know this hadith. Do we really ponder upon this hadith, its meaning? We're living in ultimate luxuries, and we leave behind our family members, our neighbors, our relatives. They don't have any of this worldly blessings. Subhanallah, if a person is being selfish, that is a worse character that a person can have. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمَ وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. He is oppressing the orphan, and he's not urging feeding the poor. Quran didn't say that he's not feeding the poor. It says he does not urge that somebody else is feeding, somebody else made a party for only poor people and decided to have food, or somebody made some portion of his wealth just to feed people, just to give a group of people dinner or lunch. SubhanAllah, some people really do this kind of really good morals. Here, وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ, he's not doing that. Somebody else is doing, and he's not letting them do that. He doesn't let them do that. He doesn't urge them to do that. Instead, he is discouraging them, telling, why should you waste your money? Why should you spend on these poor people? Why should you work for these poor people? Why should you care about them? Subhanallah, a person who is not literally spending, and he's not letting other people spend. So he is cutting, subhanallah, the goodness from its very roots. He's cutting the goodness from the root. He is using only his tongue. He's not spending any of his money, but he's cutting, discouraging people from doing good. طعام المسكين أو يطعام في يوم ذي مسغبة. Subhanallah, Quran says that feeding poor people is highly rewarding. In hadith it came, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam observed, and he said that Khairul Ibad, the best of Allah's servants, are those who are good to Allah's dependents. وَخَلْقُ اللَّهِ عِيَالُهُ, and the entire humanity, they are dependents of Allah. The best of people are those who are beneficent to the dependents of Allah. Iyal in Arabic actually termed for children. A father having iyal, a father having children. So وَخَلْقُ اللَّهِ عِيَالُهُ, and all of the creation of Allah, they are Allah's, it's not children, they are Allah's dependents. So the best of you is he who is beneficent to the other humans. Subhanallah. Subhanallah, how wonderful it is to be beneficent, to be caring, to be sharing, to be conscious of other people. Take time to be aware. That will help us to be generous. Take time to ponder upon things going around us. Subhanallah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, feeding the poor people is highly rewarding. إِطْعَامٌ فِي يَوْمٍ ذِي مَسْغَبَةٍ, feeding people in the days of hunger. Feeding, giving food and drink. That is amazing. Subhanallah, Allah will be rewarding them really good rewards. وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, and a person who refutes the religion is he who does not urge the feeding of the poor. There is a difference between miskin and faqir. Though both could be termed like destitute or poor. You might be familiar with the word faqir. He is a faqir. he's a miskeen. What's the difference? Faqir and miskeen, they are near to one another, but where faqir is destitute, he's very, very needy. He needs, for example, he needs 10 dirhams a day to survive. A faqir who would need 10 dirhams to survive a day, but he's hardly getting it. He's getting only 2 dirhams. He's still in need of 8 more dirhams just to survive. That is a faqir. Whereas a miskeen, he needs 10 dirhams to survive, but he's getting 8, but he's short of 2. But without this 2, he cannot survive. He's suffering. So that will be a miskeen. So a miskeen is better in his position than a faqir. And here, generally, miskeen would be termed for both, any destitute, any faqir or miskeen, for all. And miskeen are normally not recognized. There would be miskeen, a person who is really prestigious, a person who had really good business, and he was rich, now he lost. But he doesn't want to reveal to other people that he is in need of money. He would hide it because of his just to cover his dignity, his personality. He won't reveal to other people, I am in need of money. Whereas a faqir is easily visible. A faqir is easily visible. Miskeen may not be easily visible. There will be miskeen in us, for example. Subhanallah. A miskeen. In Surah Al-Kahf, explaining the story of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam along with Khidr alayhi salam, that both of them had a journey, right? Khidr alayhi salatu wassalam was given the knowledge specially granted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We call it al-ma'rifah al-ladunniya. He had a special kind of knowledge which is not absorbed through learning and studying, that been given straight away from Allah, inspirations from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Musa alayhi salatu wassalam was a Rasul, a messenger who had been given the book of Torah. Then Allah was testing Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Allah told Musa alayhi salatu wassalam to go with Khidr alayhi salam and to know the depth of knowledge, the vastness of knowledge. There, 3 incidents happened. Right? Khidr alayhi salatu wassalam and Musa alayhi salam, they started the journey, and right before they started the journey, Khidr alayhi salam told Musa alayhi salam, instructed him that he shouldn't be asking of anything that Khidr alayhi salam would do. He should remain patient. He should bear patience with Khidr alayhi salam until everything would be revealed to him at the end. But Musa alayhi salatu wasalam went a bit impatient, and he had to question for Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam for something that seemed to be wrong in his eyes, where it was right in Khidr alayhi salam's knowledge. One of the thing was, amma safina, they were traveling on a boat, on a ship, then they recognized Khidr alayhi salam, the captain and the crew of the ship, and they didn't ask them any money to travel, so they were traveling for free. And while they were reaching the shore, Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam tried to break a piece of wood, and he wanted to make some damage for the ship. Musa alayhi salam asked, why should you damage the ship where they've been so kind to us, letting us travel for no money, and you damage the ship? This is really wrong. Then Khidr alayhi salam told, didn't I tell you that you shouldn't be questioning me? Oh, pardon me, I won't be asking you, just pardon me, I won't be doing that again. Then Musa alayhi salam, that was the first time. It continued. Then after the third thing happened, I'm not explaining the entire story, inshallah we'll come to that while we'll be learning Surah Al-Kahf, inshallah. There, Khidr alayhi salam explained the entire things, what was the real thing, the real secret behind. He said, أما السفينة فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر فأردت أن نعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا. أما السفينة, for that ship, فكانت لمساكين, that belonged to a group of miskin. Ship, the owners were miskin. Subhanallah. أما السفينة, the ship was of a group of miskin. فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر, they work in ocean, they work in the sea. فأردت أن نعيبها, and wanted to damage it, because وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا, there was a very rude king who would seize all best good ships. He would seize it. He's in the final destination where Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Khidr alayhi salam, they got off the ship, and the ship would travel furthermore. When they reached in the final destination, there was a king who would seize all the good ships. Then I wanted to damage, so that the king would say, oh, this is a broken ship, I don't want it, let it go, I don't want that. So I wanted these good people who did kindness to us, so that they would get their ship. So I did the damage so that to save them. Subhanallah. There, in this ayah, Imam al-Shafi'i radiyallahu anhu, one of the leader of the school of Shafi'i madhab, subhanallah, he derived from this verse of Quran that a miskin can be rich in sometimes. The ship belonged to miskin. So miskin could be of different categories. Miskins cannot be recognized very easily. Whereas poor people, beggars, they could be easily recognized. So here, Quran would be, because of course Quranic verses have different meanings, variety of meanings. It could be an indication that you should be careful about people who are really hiding their poverty, who does not want to reveal their poverty or their poor situations to other people. Rather, they want to be really prestigious, they want to be really proud of what they are. So you have to recognize them and give them what they need. Give it into their hands. Don't let them come and beg, set their hands in front of you. You give it at their doors. Recognize miskin. There will be lots of miskins, subhanallah. That's why paying zakat, Islam did not say that the poor people should stand at the door of the rich people and beg for zakat, give us zakat, and they can receive zakat. That's not the way Islam says. We could see during Ramadan, the last 10 days of Ramadan, especially on 27th of Ramadan, people would make huge long lines, in front of the houses of rich people to get charity. That's not the way. Islam says you have to give charity to the poor at their door. Don't let them come out. Don't let them be humiliated. If you're calling someone onto stage and giving some presents and giving, not presents, I'm talking about poor people, giving some help, giving some charity and photographing it, publicizing it, publishing in the newspaper that you're giving some charities for the poor people, it's humiliating. In other words, I want to say, it's humiliating. This man who is poor now, in any time, in any turn of the life, he would become a rich man. People would say, oh, he was poor man, then our organization helped him, so he became rich. So that is humiliating someone's personality. Subhanallah. That's why Islam says, do not publicize your charity. That's why charity, especially, Allah says, you can give sadaqah in public, you can give sadaqah zakat openly, but you should hide your sadaqah. There is a difference between sadaqah and zakat. When two are used, sadaqah would be used for both zakat and normal optional charity and compulsory charity, and zakat is only for compulsory charity. I'm talking about zakat and sadaqah being two different charities. Zakat is one of the pillars of Islam, and sadaqah is a mere charity you can give any time. So a person giving zakat as a certain portion of his wealth, he should be giving upon reaching 1 year. Subhanallah, that zakat should be given or could be given openly. I'm giving my zakat. You could publicize that, but your intention is only the reward of Allah. But whereas you're giving a charity, a sadaqah, an optional one, you're helping someone, it's not compulsory upon you, you're doing that optional. Subhanallah, there you need to hide it. hiding optional charity and publicizing the compulsory charity. Why we should publicize the compulsory charity? It's only to urge other people to give zakat. Normally people don't give zakat. They think that it's incentive for someone. It's not for me. I'm not meant in this case. Normally people think that way. Most of the people are entitled to give zakat. Subhanallah. So publicize zakat is an act of Islam. Make it public. Like during Ramadan we fast. We pray and it could be seen. We do Hajj, that could be seen, right? Give charity, that could be seen. Which charity? The compulsory charity, so that other people would learn about zakat, be conscious about zakat, be thinking about zakat. But whereas a sadaqah, a charity is meant, you have to give it quite secretly. So, 7 group of people Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam counted. There will be 7 group of people on the day of judgment. They will be given a special reward. It will be extremely hot on the day of judgment, and people will be in sweat. Some will be up to their neck, some up to their chest, some up to their knees, and up to their ankles. So people will be drowning in wet. Subhanallah, in sweat. There Allah will be shadowing 7 kinds of people by the shadow of Arsh, the throne of power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who are they? One of them, there are 7. One of them, من أخفى صدقة حتى لا تعلم الشمال يمينه حتى لا تعلم شماله ما تنفق يمينه. A person who hid his charity, he just hid it, so that his left hand does not know what his right hand spends. A man who hid his charity, that is the optional charity, sadaqah, not zakat. Okay, a person who hid his charity so that his left hand didn't know what his right hand has spent. It's keeping secret to oneself. It's like your left hand didn't know what your right hand left. That's extreme secrecy and privacy. So that is the way we should be helping and giving in charity. In another hadith, it came 3 people would be brought for the judgment for first. There would be 3 group of people. One of them is a martyr who died in the way of Allah. Number 2 will be a scholar who gave lectures, who taught Quran. Subhanallah. And there will be another person who was a very generous man, who spent a lot for humanity, who spent for the natural calamities, who spent for people who are in bad situations. These people will be brought on the day of judgment, and Allah will publicly judge them, and their actions would not be accepted. Why? الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. They were showing off. Allah would say, you are the martyr, you died, you led some processions, and you died for the sake of God in your claim, right? And you died only to be called you are brave, only to be termed that you are a brave leader. So that was told in the world. All the newspapers wrote that. The brave leader is gone. So that's been said on the earth. So you have nothing here on the day of judgment. Your actions are not accepted. So a person who is sacrificing his soul, his entire body, his soul, his physique for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what would be better sacrifice than someone's own body? Subhanallah, a shaheed, a martyr. But his intention was wrong. Then Allah will call the scholar, it would say that you taught, you learned, you taught Islam so that people will say you are a big scholar, a great scholar, and you didn't put that in practice. So your actions are gone, you're just showing off, it's not accepted, go away. The third one is a generous person who spent a lot in the way of Allah, but his intention was to be called a generous. He's a generous. In Arabic there's a term Hatim al-Ta'i. Hatim al-Ta'i was a very generous man in the history. To be called Hatim al-Ta'i, to be called, he's so generous, subhanallah. Allah would say, you spend just to be said, you're generous. And that's been said. So your reward is already given on earth. You have nothing here in akhirah, in the life hereafter. So وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Didn't you see a person who refutes the religion? فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ. It is him who oppresses an orphan. وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. He does not urge on feeding of the poor. And remember, here Quran is very, very careful using the word ta'am al-miskin, not it'am al-miskin, feeding the poor. The Quranic words are food of the poor. Food of, he is not urging upon the food of the poor. The food that owes to poor, that is due for poor, he is not giving their rights. Referring to charity, Quran says, it's their right, it's their food. He's not giving them. He's not only not giving, he's not urging other people to do that. He's just discouraging other people from goodness. وَلَا يَحُلُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. So woe to those who pray. Musallin, Salla, Yusalli is to pray, Yusalli praying, Musalli a person who prays, Musallin is plural. A group of prayers, those who pray. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. So does that mean Allah is cursing those who pray, so I don't pray? It's not. Look at the following verse. الَّذِينَ هُمْ, those, عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ, about their prayer, sahun, they are forgetful. They are forgetful of their prayers. SubhanAllah, some of the commentators of Quran, they reported an athar which says that, Alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah who did not say, الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ, woe to those who are forgetful in their prayers. That would include all of us. Isn't it? Are we all conscious from Allahu Akbar till we turn Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, we finish our prayer? Are we all conscious in our prayer all the time? We are not. SubhanAllah. If Allah would say, Alladheena hum, those people, woe to those who are forgetful in fi salatihim sahun, that would include everyone. Alhamdulillah, Allah didn't say that. Allah said, Alladheena hum an salatihim sahun. They are forgetful of their prayer. They are forgetful of their prayer. They don't think of their prayer. It's time for prayer and they don't pray. They're postponing their prayer. تلك صلاة المنافق تلك صلاة المنافق تلك صلاة المنافق. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, that is the prayer of hypocrite, that is the prayer of munafiq, that is the prayer of hypocrite. Whose prayer, Rasulullah? Whose prayer you are referring to? He said, a person who doesn't pray Asr prayer and he keeps on waiting until the sun sets, he keeps on watching the sun. حتى إذا كانت بين قرني الشيطان, when the sun reaches between the two horns of shaitan, that means when the sun is about to set, نقر أربعا, he will peck 4, لا يذكر الله فيه إلا قليلا, and he would not remember about Allah except a little. He said he would peck 4 times, referring to 4 rakat. So, I have time, I will pray after a while, I just want to finish this match, I want to just finish this episode, I want to finish I will finish this job, then he keeps on postponing his Asr prayer, which is one of the most important prayers. حَافِظُوا عَلَى الصَّلَوَاتِ وَالصَّلَاةِ الْوُسْطَى وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ. That is the middle prayer, as referred in a hadith and in the Quran. That is the middle prayer. Out of the 5, Asr is the middle prayer, that the angels on duty for the daytime, they would be departing, and the angels who are on the duty of night would be coming. So they will be both attending the prayer of Asr. There would be angels who are appointed during the daytime, they will be joining the Asr time of that area where night is about to fall, and there will be the angels coming down who are about to take over the duty of the nights of that area. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, a Muslim has to pay extreme attention for praying Asr prayer. And what it is, that is the prayer of munafiq. That is the prayer of munafiq. That is the prayer of munafiq. He repeated 3 times. That indicates the importance and seriousness of this issue. He said he would wait the sun until it reaches between the two horns of shaitan. What does it mean, between the two horns of shaitan? It's indication that there were people who worship sun. They would worship the sun at the time of its rise and the time of its when it sets. So there would be shaitan would appear, at that time, so that all the prayers that's been given to sun would come to me. So that was the reference indicating when the sun reaches between two horns of shaitan. That means that is the time Asr should not be postponed until then. Asr should not be, the prayer of Asr should not be postponed until a time where the sky, the horizon would be colored yellow or, lightly reddish. That means it's about to set, We shouldn't be postponing Asr until then without any genuine reason. Really genuine reason. So, he would wait. Then when it is time to set, he says, oh my Asr time going to finish, I would pray quite quickly. He would make his wudu fast and he would naqara arba'an. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he would pray, instead of saying he would pray 4 rakat, he said he would peck like a crow. He would peck 4 times, like doing his sujood and ruku. I have to pray in time, so he's hurrying and he would pray. He would peck 4 times. La yadhkurullaha fihi illa qalila. He's not remembering about Allah. He's not thinking about Allah. He's not pondering upon the verses he's reciting. He's not paying attention. He's not conscious of Allah's greatness in his prayer. So that is a prayer of hypocrite. So postponing a prayer or making it qada or not paying attention during prayer, that would come under alladhina hum an salatihim sahun. A prayer is not regarded as a prayer if it's not done with khushu'. Khushu' is the feel of our heart. We feel about Allah's greatness, and there is a humility. That's the state of the heart, that we would feel the greatness of Allah and our own humility in front of Allah, and we would admire Allah's worshipping Allah, and we would pray with extreme consciousness. That is khushu'. The scholars of Islam before us, they would repeat their prayers which been done without khushu'. I've done my salah, but I didn't have enough khushu'. Let me do it again. Subhanallah. A prayer is not a prayer if it's not done without khushu'. So if Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam explaining the importance of salah, alladhina hum an salatihim sahun, people who are forgetful of their prayer. We can't tell Allah, I was on duty, it was my working hours, I didn't get time from my business, I was so busy in my job, so I couldn't pray my dhuhr asr. It won't be, especially living in countries like UAE and the cities like here. See, we don't have, and nowhere, everyone has the freedom of his worship. Subhanallah, we should find some time solely for worship, to get some time along with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and leave all the worldly burdens. Leave it aside. Switch off your mobile. You're just cutting all the relations with this life, this world, and you're connecting yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. A group of people who will show off. Showing off. Yura'un is taken from Riya. Riya is a minor shirk. Shirk is a polytheism. Allah would not forgive shirk. Shirk is worshipping anyone other than Allah, associating any gods with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is shirk. Shirk has lots of forms. There is shirk in rububiyyah, there is shirk in fil asma wa sifat, there is shirk of rububiyyah, shirk in ibadah, shirk in rububiyyah, shirk in asma wa sifat. Let's keep it aside considering the time. The minor shirk, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there is a minor shirk, and that is to show off. That I'm showing that I'm a religious person. I'm following Islam just for people to tell about me that I'm religious. I'm just doing Islamic dress code because let people think of me. I'm sincere in his religion. So showing off insincere intention, that is as if you're worshipping someone else. Worship, all of our good deeds is done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for Allah's cause, that Allah would reward us. He would give me reward. He would give me His pleasure. He would give me His Jannah. But when we just expect someone else's praise, let him praise me for that. Some people really get upset if someone doesn't praise them for the act of good. We shouldn't expect that. In Islamic viewpoint, let me say, it's not good. In professionalism, in the world of jobs, or those who, the manager or kind of people who have, different roles to apply upon, some group of people he's overseeing, it said he should be appreciating for every little bit of, act of good of his employee. That is fine, that's fine. But we shouldn't be expecting that. We shouldn't be expecting that someone should praise me. I did that, but no one recognized me. I did that job, and no one gave me any reward. I didn't get the certificate for that. Come on, we're doing our duties for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ Riya has been, it's given a title of professionalism in our world. I think that Riya, it's Riya, but it's been, to be a professional you have to be showing off. Of course, no, you don't have to be showing off. Every act of goodness should be hid. It should be kept secret without publicizing it. Allah knows it. Allah would give reward for that. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ So those people who deny the truth, who denies the religion, the people who deny the day of judgment, they would be showing off, Riya, doing the minor act of shirk. That is a minor act of shirk. We are here to reflect upon our own actions and upon our own life. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَعُونَ And they would prevent even a little bit of benefits. They wouldn't give people, any sort of help. Ma'un, as I told you, Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu, one of the greatest companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he described Ma'un is water. Who wouldn't give water to thirsty people? Who wouldn't give any little bit of help? That is lending something. Can I borrow your pen? No, I don't. Can I borrow anything, any tools? People between, in life, you're living together, we have neighbors and friends, we have family members, we have relatives. We are sometimes in need of lending something. These people who refute the day of judgment, who do not follow the religion in their life, they won't lend anything. Let it be an axe, let it be a plate, let it be a pot, let it be anything, any little bit of benefit, they would prevent it. So think of the other things. They are preventing even the least, then how you can expect them give more than that? Subhanallah. So that is selfishness or miserliness. If I give that, I would finish. That's said in hadith. It came like lending a knife, for example. Lending any kind of vessels for cooking, in between the neighbors, for example. And we can have different examples in our own life that we don't care, we just give it and get it, we lend it and take it. So a believer would encourage that, would practice that, but a non-believer, a hypocrite, a person who refutes the religion, he wouldn't. He will be so selfish that he doesn't want to benefit any other human beings. So totally the surah is talking about benefiting humans. It talked about yatim, orphan, caring yatim. The surah talked about caring miskin. The surah talked about caring our prayer, our relationship with Allah, and it talked about showing off, which is highly discouraged in Islam and termed a minor act of shirk. And it talked about giving benefits, giving any sort of help, a very little bit of help, giving every sort of help. It's all about helping yourself by praying and being sincere in your worship and helping the all other human beings. And now we can relate, khayrukum khayrukum. Allah says the best of mankind is those who are best to his fellow men, and all the people are Allah's dependents, and a person who is beneficial to Allah's dependents, they are the best of all. So we are here to show kindness and mercy. We have to highlight this point of Islam. Islam is against harshness. Islam is against rudeness. Islam is all about helping, caring, sharing, giving charity, being generous. Subhanallah. What are the moral values highlighted in Surah Ma'un? If the people understand the meaning of Surah Ma'un, how beautiful will be the entire society of Islam. Subhanallah. So these meanings we have to inculcate within ourselves, and we have to pass these meanings to our fellow friends and relatives, and to everyone we can pass to. May Allah make us good Muslims. May Allah make us those who follow Islam, who follow Islamic moral values, and who are sincere in their intention. I'm concluding this lecture, inshallah. We'll be meeting inshallah next week with Surah Quraysh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fihi ala kulli hal. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim alayhi. Allahumma ighfir lana, Allahumma ighfir lana, Allahumma ighfir lana, Allahumma ighfir lana, Allahumma ighfir lana ذنوبنا صغيرها وكبيرها دقها وجلها علانيتها وخفيها. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وربنا ارحمهم كما ربونا صغارا. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم اشفنا واشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم ارحمنا وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. بحق صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد يا رب صل عليه وسلم. وصل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.